April 9th. Gosh, I can't believe it's already April, and here we are, still at home. So I'd like to welcome my guest today, Rachael Pritzker.
Yeah.
Her and her brother have a wonderful law firm here in Philadelphia, and I just want to welcome you. Thanks so much for coming on the show today, Rachael.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited.
How are you personally doing with all this?
We're good. We have a pretty lean team, and I had kind of a crazy year last year with my brother being sick to deal with his health. So I feel like I'm going from like survival mode to survival mode. So I'm okay with it. I think I was talking to some folks yesterday about just trying to use this as an opportunity to get your business organized, or do some administrative stuff that we may not feel like we've had time for. And then if you can kind of use this time as an opportunity, I think you can get a lot done. I've definitely not been like bored in the sense of not having work to do. I certainly miss people, and I'm excited to get back out there and continue to move things forward. But we're making the best of it and staying positive.
Is everybody healthy? Is everybody okay?
Yeah, everyone's good. Everyone's good. Yeah.
Good. That's good. What have you didn't work from home before, right? You have an office?
So we have an office. When we first started our company, it's about 3 years old at this point, we did start at home. I started on my couch in my apartment at 1501 Locust Street, which was a very small 1-bedroom apartment. I quit my job and I said to Adam, let's go do this. And he's like, all right. And we just worked on my couch for 6 months. And then we got an office where we are now at 1635 Market. Also a small office. Adam's really efficient with money. And so although I'm like, spend, he's like, no, we need to grow. We need to save all this. So yeah, we have an office now. We haven't been in it obviously for the last like month and a half, but I'm not uncomfortable working from home, but you certainly miss being around other people.
Going out to lunch.
Yeah, a lot of lunches canceled. A lot of lunches canceled.
Coffee. So this is my new way to have coffee with people.
Yeah, or like happy
coffee.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So having a lot of coffee meetings online.
Yeah.
And some drink meetings too, some happy hours.
Yeah, we've had a couple of these, and we've had some family dinners. So it was Passover last night for those who celebrate. And so
Passover.
So thank you. The funny thing was, a friend of mine said the other day, he's like, the weirdest thing about these Zoom birthday parties or whatever is like, you can't really Irish exit, or like you can't do the Jewish goodbye, which is like, okay, bye. And then you talk for like another 30 minutes. Like, it's kind of just like click, like there's no way to like casually exit, which has been kind of funny, but.
That's true. Haven't thought about that.
Yeah. Everyone just clicks off.
That's really interesting. I guess you'd have to say like, oh, I got to go. I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I got another one of these, so I got to go.
Or something like that. So what are some of the things that you've been doing for your clients? I mean, you can't go to court.
Yeah, so we can still file.
No zoning board hearings, right?
Yeah, so you can still file complaints, and if you have pending litigation, you can still obviously work on the paperwork. A lot of people don't realize one of the reasons litigation is so expensive is that it requires an attorney to really sit down and develop a significant amount of paperwork with complaints and answers and motions and things of that nature. And so now you have a lot more lead time to work on those. You can file with the court common pleas. They're just obviously not scheduling. We have some rule to show cause hearings, things like that, that are all getting pushed back. Obviously, a lot of what we do is zoning work, and the Zoning Board of Adjustment is obviously closed. I don't know if they're going to try and explore some virtual options and how that will work with some of the legal requirements for public hearings and how they're going to handle that. But mostly what we've been doing is a lot of transactional work. There are still people who are closing on properties, or that want to close on properties, but they have, let's say, a pending abatement. So we've been drafting specialty escrow agreements so that while the abatement's pending, we can put money in escrow, and then we can still move along with the closing. I did one earlier this week that I've been working on for about 2 weeks where there was a pending violation for something on the property. The sellers still wanted to sell the property. The buyer still wanted to buy it, but we put a certain amount of money in escrow so that we could, and I drafted a specialty agreement so that we could move forward with the closing, and we'll deal with the violation afterwards. So a lot of just unique solutions so that people can still close, because you really don't want to, if you can, put your property on the market right now. So if you can get some of these transactions closed, and the buyer and the seller are still willing to move forward, and you can utilize a little bit of creativity, we've been able to do that, especially because law firms like mine can hold money in escrow where a title company won't hold it because it's not a title issue. So that's another place where we've been, creative. And really, we've still been bringing in new clients, even for zoning work. I was on a 2-hour call yesterday with a client, because now you have an unbelievable amount of time to really sit and prepare and talk through strategy and, work with the design professionals from an architectural and civil perspective on what you want to do. It's not as rushed as it was before because we didn't have all this downtime. So,
right. And you don't have to actually go from appointment to appointment to appointment. It was in Center City with all the construction, right? Wouldn't it take you like 30 minutes sometimes to get 10 blocks?
Yeah, and then like waiting in L&I, everything has been now moved to online for the most part, so, which has been great because to your point, like I have a full-time paralegal and all she does for the most part is run between city agents, and she'll be like sitting there for like 2-3 hours. So, wow. That's going to be a lot more efficient for people. And yeah, I mean, moving from, you're kind of all in the same place now, so you can get a lot more done, and can be a little bit more focused than in and out of an office. So that's kind of,
I think we've been able to get I feel like I'm working a lot more, but I feel like I'm also.
It's because you're not interrupted.
What?
You're not interrupted as much. So you just.
No, it's really quiet. I've actually been able to do some writing.
Okay.
I'm writing content for Be the Solution. And now that, we're really focusing on growing the digital landscape of everything that we're doing. Yep. I mean, we still have clients that want to buy and sell. It's just a matter of how we're going to do it now and things that we're putting into place. I will say there's not a lot of listings that are coming up. So the listings that do come up and there's motivated buyers, they're going to sell.
Yeah.
I mean, the inventory is ridiculously low. I think it's down by 80%.
Wow.
Year over year. I mean, I'm tracking it daily right now, just for my own information. I want to see when it starts to turn either one way or the other.
Right.
And if we're having any days that we see like a lot more coming on or more withdrawing or going temporarily off the market or, price decreases, price increases, things like that.
Yeah.
However, I know you work with a lot of investors and builders, and it's really frustrating because they can't build, and that's a lot of our clients as well. What do you think the sentiment is of the industry?
I think people are frustrated.
I saw you yesterday. What did you think?
What did you say?
You were on the BIA call yesterday. Yeah. What did you think the sentiment is?
I think people are frustrated. I actually emailed Leo and Armando yesterday, kind of just thanking them for all the work that they're doing, because they are really doing a really great job, in my opinion, of keeping everyone in the loop as much as possible with, what's going on. But I think it's hard, like New Jersey, for example, was still allowing construction. I think it's ending like tomorrow, but they were still allowing construction. I think some people were able to get waivers from the state. I actually read a letter earlier that Brian from Design Blend sent me to look at, where basically there's some projects that can still move forward if they're almost, need to be substantially completed or are almost substantially completed. But I think people just like want to get back to work and at least want to understand what avenues that they can have or that the city could open up to allow like some things to move forward so that we're not at a complete halt. I think it's easier for government sometimes to just say, let's just stop everything instead of really spending the time because maybe they don't have it, or maybe it's hard to figure out with different industries. But it would be great if instead of halting everything, you could start to figure out, well, what could be open? How could we fix this if we're going to be here for another 30, 60, 90 days, depending. To your point, you're saying, hey, listen, this digital thing, there's something here. And maybe we could start to implement this better. And I wish that this, like, cities and states would do that also. Because for example, like, you really don't need to have every single thing be in person. Like some of these RCO meetings, maybe some of them could be a mix of virtual and in person, maybe because sometimes you can spend months even just trying to schedule them.
Right. Have you seen anybody go virtual yet on the RCO meetings? I was curious.
There's been a few. Sosna did. I don't know what other. I heard that on the BIA call. I personally have not had any of those. Some of the groups that we deal with, and I think Councilman Green had mentioned this yesterday. He was on the BIA call, which was really helpful. Some groups, depending on where they are, have better or less access to technology. And, I have a laptop sitting here with a camera. Some people might not. So how do you balance that with some of these groups? I mean, we do a lot of projects in North Philly, like in Strawberry Mansion and in north of Brewerytown in the 32nd Democratic Ward. I can't imagine everybody there has fair access to, a computer, or their cell phone has, or even some of them are older and might not know how to do it. So we haven't had any of those yet, but I know that as far as the city civic design review, they're talking about trying to get it virtual, which I think would, because there's a lot of really large projects. Civic design review, if people don't know, is when you have a project that's at least 50 or more new units. It's larger scale projects that have a bigger footprint, and those projects obviously take a lot longer to work through the process, even if there's no zoning component in the sense of variances. You still are required to go through this extra layer of city administrative review. And so I think they're trying to figure out for some of these bigger projects, given we don't know where the abatement's going to be as far as extending it, to try and get them moving forward a little bit, which I think would be great.
That would be a huge reason for them to kind of get rid of that bill, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it's difficult because that abatement, when they were, revising it, the market was like doing really, really, really well for a long time. And they kind of thought, okay, well, we don't really need to incentivize development anymore. We need the money for the school district and the city at this point. Property taxes, I think it's 55% of it goes to the school district and 45% of it goes to the city. So they were taking a huge hit over the last 10 years, although it does generate additional taxes. There's a ton of reports on all this. I think the problem with extending it, is that now we're going to be in a different kind of a deficit as far as the money that the city has output to help with COVID-19. The city put out $85 million to help with COVID-19, to help fund some of the small business relief funds, to help with additional city services and things of that nature, where our state only put out $50 million. So think about kind of the way that looks, with the city putting out a lot more. And there's going to be a deficit with the school, with all the schools now. I think it's just a matter of them looking at the budget and seeing if they can make up the dollars, and if there's a big enough lobby around the abatement. I was on a call yesterday and I said to people, it's great that everybody wants it to be extended, but like, if you don't show up and like voice your concerns and be a part of the movement of helping to move forward, it's kind of the same thing over and over again. And there's a lot more naysayers in the neighborhoods about the abatement than there are people who are supportive of extending it. But I think it'll be up for discussion regardless, and I'll be interested to see how it goes. If I had my choice, I think I would extend it, just so that at least for a little bit, as long as this has taken a penalty on people, maybe it's 3 months or 6 months, so that we can help bolster the economy a little bit. And then those who were anticipating, being able to take advantage of it could, but I don't know. I'm not responsible. They don't ask my opinion.
Well, it's really hard to say. I mean, we don't have a crystal ball, and we don't know when things will be, quote unquote, back to normal, or if ever will be exactly back to normal.
Yeah.
Based on COVID-19. So what are some fun things that you're doing right now? Anything?
Definitely spending more time connecting with people. You realize, I realize I miss a lot of people because of this, right? So I have a lot of friends I'm spending, having longer conversations with. We're like going for like walks, 6 feet apart walks, and just doing my best to stay happy and silly and positive. Lot of TV. Everyone's been like obsessed with like Tiger King and stuff like that. But usually in our family dinners, we're like, what shows are you watching? What movies? Because we're like, there's only so many shows you can watch. And cleaning, like I've been really into cleaning all of a sudden because I'm sitting here all day. So I'm like,
So you're looking at it and it's aggravating you now. Actually, you're sitting still for more than 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
The Broadway, Andrew Lloyd Webber is broadcasting on Fridays at 2:00 for 48 hours every weekend, a new play.
Okay. Wow.
Broadway. So this week it's Jesus Christ Superstar.
Okay.
That he has. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I've seen some things that they're doing. The Philadelphia Orchestra is going to be playing. So there's like some things that I think people can take advantage of that they may never have been able to take advantage of before, right from and right from their house. So it's been interesting times for sure. Do you see, has any of your clients canceled any contracts or?
No, I think mostly what people have been doing is saying like, let's postpone, moving on this until June or whenever things come back. But most cases I went through, I think most cases that we have involve some of the city, but there's plenty of prep work that can be done. And what I've been telling people is we're trying to get everything geared up. So the second that the city's open in any capacity, it's going to be kind of a mad rush, I think. And I don't want to be scrambling at that point to get documentation together. So I'd rather get everything possible I can lined up. And I like challenge. So people have been saying, oh, I have this L&I issue. Can you solve it? Or I have an issue with this. Can you? And I'm like, yeah, let me see if I can go do it. Like, I kind of enjoy that a little bit. And I'm like, if I can't do it, I'll tell you that and then we'll wait. But let me at least try and see if I can navigate it. I'm lucky to have a lot of really good relationships in city government, in city council. And so, I take it case by case. I'm not pushing everything through, but if I can continue movement to help someone out, there's nothing that I can do about the fact that people develop right now, but at least if we can get all the documentation and everything lined up. And even I queued up a ton of emails that have to go out to city people so that when the city opens, they're already written and ready to go. I'm not scrambling to get it done. So.
Yeah, exactly. Being a problem solver is, I always say, what?
Just move it forward. Like, you could sit and go like, oh, this is horrible and we can't, or you can go like, well, what could I do? And while everyone else is being miserable about it, I'm going to see an opportunity here and be like, let's go after this and do as much as humanly possible, to move it forward. I don't want to sit here bored.
Because when the ban lifts, there's going to be a lot of pent up demand for your services, for our services.
Yep.
We're working with our clients as well to get everything prepped and ready to go. Some want to list now. They're like, I want to list, we see if we can sell it virtually.
Yep.
They're willing to, they understand what's going on. You'd have to be living under a rock if you didn't know what was going on at this point. And it's, we're all in this together. So it's, how can you continue to help people and inspire people? Because there's a lot of people out there right now that are struggling, that have lost their jobs, that are working on the front lines for all of us. Yep. And coming together as a community and, being the light, being the lighthouse. Like, that's what I said. I said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to be the lighthouse for people.
Yeah.
Because somebody has to do it. And the people that are stronger and that are aware have more responsibility.
Yeah.
And so, with that, it's definitely leads heavier on us. But I believe at the end that I think there will all come out, on the other side of this, hopefully better and more efficient in the work that we're doing. And,
and with some alternative solutions and stuff. There's some stuff that we're doing now that we should have been doing before, but like maybe we didn't have to, or we didn't think of it because we weren't like kind of pushed against the, the ropes, being like, oh,
Yeah.
how do we fix this? But
like what types of things?
so a lot of specialty agreements, a lot of escrow, a lot of like how to really navigate L&I in the most efficient and effective way. Like sometimes I just get nervous to go right to the top with stuff because I'm trying to be really considerate of the hierarchy or the way to do it. But right now I'm just like, it just needs to get done. So I'm just gonna, it's a kind of a good excuse to be like, let's just go right to the top. Let's get this handled. And then also with our business internally, it's like, how can we, to your point, make everything the most effective and efficient so that we can come out with more competitive pricing, that we're spending more time on the legal services side, less time on the administration side of stuff. Lawyers do a lot of paperwork. We have to send out engagement letters and proposals. We have to collect retainers. We have to, spend that money down and send out. And my brother is unbelievably, where I am really kind of outgoing and aggressive as far as getting things done. Adam is so patient, and he loves technology, which if my email doesn't work for 3 seconds, I like want a new computer. He's like very good with that. So he's been automating like as much as humanly possible so that, to your point, like when things come back around, we can just push stuff out so much quicker. We're working to integrate with some of the other service companies that we work with so that we can figure out who has the ball, what needs to be done, who's doing this, just so that we can be just a more sound firm. And what I'm really loving is getting a lot more time to analyze projects, like really not scheme, but strategize on how do we do this and what's the best way, and really looking at the data, and that I really enjoy. So
in regards to collaborating with other people you work with, are you using a software to do that?
Yeah, so we purchased a software called HubSpot. This was like
HubSpot?
HubSpot, yeah.
Oh, I've heard of it. What does that exactly do, though?
So I found HubSpot through Brian Corcadillos, who is like a master tech like wizard. Like,
yeah, he is.
He's so good with that stuff. And like Adam, he's super patient. And so HubSpot allows you to keep everything in one place and also integrates it with Adam should be sharing this stuff. I'm gonna completely botch it, but I'm doing my best. Integrate it with, our billing system, which is called Clio. Integrates with QuickBooks. It integrates with, so that we can do workflows. So for example, there's, let's say 20 steps in the zoning process. Well, HubSpot can automate it and send tasks to those who need to, like, hey, Rachel, please follow up with client for this document, or, follow up with L&I for the refusal, or whatever it is, or hey, Maria, this contract needs to be signed. And what Adam has done also is it automates sending out follow-up emails. So we send a proposal out to somebody, or you guys could send out a contract to somebody. You don't have to manually follow up. You could say, hey, I want it to follow up 3 times. This is what I want the messages to be. There's forms you can create. So we have all brand new intake forms. So when I get a new client, I just take this intake information. It automatically generates itself into a proposal. So it takes away a lot of that. And then all your contacts are in one place per deal. So say you have a 3 Market Street and there's 6 people that are involved. You can have all their contacts there. It just makes it so that you're jumping between a lot fewer softwares and everything is integrated. So shout out to Brian Corcadillos for sharing. And he's got it like to the most insane level I've ever seen. I mean, he's really generous to share a lot of what he knows with Adam and I. We've worked with them for 3 years. We collaborate a lot with them on zoning work. And so we've been talking about trying to integrate so that, because we do so much volume with them, that if there was a way because we both are on HubSpot, to kind of ping between the 2 companies, like on just certain projects that we're working on. We right now keep spreadsheets, like here's all the stuff we're doing with this firm, just so that I have a list of everything and they have their list. But HubSpot's awesome. And obviously there's a lot of different levels of it. So there's a marketing component that costs additional money. We don't have that one right now. I know that Brian has that one, where you can send out to your full contact lists, marketing emails or content, or, follow-up reminder about this. So it's just nice to have everything in one place as much as possible, so you're not jumping between a lot of softwares.
Yeah, I know. we have several different systems, but our one system connects to several now.
Okay.
So that's really good.
Yeah.
We use MailChimp
Okay.
for our marketing information. And yeah, we've gotten, we started, 2 weeks ago, I wasn't doing Facebook Live,
Mm-hmm.
and we're now going to go across all channels with LinkedIn and
Yep.
YouTube and all that. But it's like you're learning a lot of new things, right? So it's like
Yep.
we didn't have the opportunity or we didn't take the opportunity. Let's say that, because we had the opportunity before, but we just didn't take action on it because
Yeah.
all the stuff was there.
Yeah. You took it for granted.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. I think that's important. And to your point, if you can be more efficient with your business, so you're spending less time, you're spending more time. I want to spend most of my time on the client facing stuff and putting out the good work product and building relationships and helping my clients build relationships. One of the cool things we were able to do last week or 2 weeks ago was Councilwoman Bass allowed us to go on a Zoom call with her to talk through a project that we are going to be proposing. And that was really cool, that some of the, our city officials are like, yeah, sure, I'll jump on a Zoom call. I'm happy. And they want to move stuff forward as well. And that's kind of, it's for some council offices, it can take a while to get meetings with them because they're so busy, especially during the budget season between March and July. But I think if we can continue to bring technology into our everyday life, and so we can make all of our platforms more efficient, we can probably cut a lot of other things, including costs for clients, which I'm always looking to figure out how we can be competitive with rates without losing, the valuable work product that we put out, because you still want to be able to put out a good work product. And sometimes the amount that people want to pay doesn't always equate to what you think the value really needs to be. So that's where we're spending some time. You should look at HubSpot if you haven't. It's just good to know about it, and always good to keep all your softwares fresh.
Yeah, we just started. It's called Monday.com.
Okay, I've heard of it. Yeah, I've definitely heard.
And I did look into HubSpot, but it was a while back. But we have other systems too that, automating certain tasks and things that are redundant. If I don't know if you ever used if this then that.
No.
Have Adam look into it.
Okay.
If this then that, IFTTT. He'll love it. He doesn't know about it. He will love it.
Adam worked at a company. So Adam, his career kind of went a little bit different than mine, where I went from like working for a judge to working for a law firm to working for Allen Donovan City Council and then starting a firm. Adam kind of, Adam wanted to go get an MBA. And my dad was like, no, go to law school. That'll be better for you. You'll get more value from it. Because my dad ran a big IT consulting firm, and he was always like, I never knew how to read the contracts. And I wish that I had that legal background, because you always have to then pay a lawyer to read everything. So Adam went from law school. He actually had he wanted to be an agent, about a sports agent, gotten some internships doing some of that kind of stuff. And then he went to a venture-backed startup, where he basically did he did a lot of their contracts, but he did a significant amount of business development for them and outreach. And he learned about Salesforce and all those kind of how to get, LinkedIn, and how to, get in touch with everybody that way. Even because the guy he worked for would be like, Adam, I need you to get the CEO of Gap's email. And Adam would be like, okay. And just figure out how to get contact information from people. So with that, he just kind of was always diving into softwares. And then he worked for a company called Equipped, which is a legal technology sales company. And he built their entire sales funnel. So they had a sales team, but they weren't working efficiently with technology. So Adam did a lot of research and built their sales funnel of how they engage with the clients, get the product out, send out information. And then he would go teach people how to use the software and the technology that they would purchase. So he just loves diving into all that. Me, I'm just 3 seconds of reading about it, I'm out. That's not my skill set. So he probably does know about, you said, if this, then that. I'm texting him.
If this, then that.
Look this up, or let me know if you know it. He just always knows this stuff, because I'll think I'm so innovative. I'm like, hey, Adam, so-and-so told me about this. He's like, yeah, that's been out for 4 years. Here's the problem with it. Boom, 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 boom. This
has been out for, there's a whole book about it. Ari Meisel, I think is his name.
Okay.
It's interesting. it's basically, if you touch something more than once and you're going to do it again, that it should be set up as an if this, then that.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to create a list of all the things that we do that we
Yeah.
can put on there. Like I get an update on my phone every morning about the weather, it
Okay.
automatically comes to my email. It was set up. It
Yeah.
says what it's going to start, the day's going to start with and what it's going to end with.
Yeah.
And it's all was put into that little thing. I'm not the technology person at my company, but I like learning new things and
Yeah.
bringing solutions to the table. So
Yeah.
I'm always researching what's the next thing that we can do to streamline everything to make the process more efficient.
Yep.
And that was just like something I set up myself in like 5 seconds that you could do though, like 500 of those things that could
Yeah.
help your business be more efficient. So
Yeah, I think I've known that about you. We had lunch like I think well over a year ago, and that was one of the things you were like, "We're doing this and we're changing that," and I was like, "Wow!" Like, if she wants to mix it all up with all the people she has and the things that she's doing, then we could. We were like 2 people at that time. Like, we could certainly do it. But it's good. You always want to stay on top of things, and I think especially during this time, it's been like, how do we solve stuff for people that in a really difficult environment, and even if it can't be solved in the immediate future, like tomorrow, the next day, like when it's able to be solved, like can we fix something like this going forward? Or I emailed Councilman Green last night because I had gotten a question from somebody that they were like, well, what about all these properties that are closing and there's people are still, they're not able to record deeds right now. And I know that there's been issues with deed fraud in general in Philadelphia, not just like relevant to this time, but
no, I mean, it's been prevalent for the last probably 10 years.
right. And like you have to physically hand something in. Like, why is that not like integrated in technology so that you can, file your deed and then the system can check, is the timeline correct? Is there a chain of title here? There should be a better way to do that because people who are transacting in real estate right now, I mean, there was a closing we helped with on Wednesday. They're not going to record the deed. So it's technically not set and done until the deeds are recorded. And that could be for another, who knows? So I emailed the councilman. I was like, hey, I didn't get to ask this on the call, but I just, was curious if anybody had thought about, and if you've ever gone into the recorder of deeds, there's like a door and then there's like a bench and then there's like another door and then there's glass. So it's like, you can't even get back there. So maybe someone could, and I'm not trying to put anybody in an unsafe scenario, but maybe there's a way to still, even if it's once a week or people just leave the documents somewhere and there's some way to like get some of it processed. It'll still takes over a month for it to update in like Atlas and like revenue and OPAs.
Yeah, at least. I mean,
it's
sometimes
bad.
it's like 3 months.
It's really bad. I mean, we had a client who we subdivided a property for them. This is like months ago. We got everything. We actually did record the deeds. We got stamps, obviously, because now you can at least get it stamped when you're there. But it's not updated in the system. He's like, is it legal for me to say to people that they're properly subdivided? Can I put this on the market? And I said, yeah, absolutely. But what you might have a little bit of a lapse is when you get to the settlement table, title may have a hard time pulling the deed through the Philadoc system. So you might just have to wait on that. But if it's been stamped, you're good to go. And we have 2 separate ID numbers. But there's stuff that's going through now that makes me a little concerned because the deeds will just sit, or maybe people will forget to record them, or that makes me worried. So maybe there'll be a solution to that. And the councilman like responded right away and he was like, I'll look into it. And so, I'm hoping.
Yeah, he seems pretty responsive.
He's great. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I was impressed with him yesterday. We
Me
did
too.
the day before he was on GPAR's call.
Okay.
Yeah, and he gave the same information. So I listened to
He's a lot more.
I listened to his voice.
Yeah, I said this to someone yesterday. He's a lot more involved than I thought. I think that like the at-large positions are hard because district council members deal with their specific district and the issues and a lot of real estate stuff, right? With zoning and street namings and street strikings and trash and all sorts of stuff. But you have at-large council members, which kind of like play this dance of like, they may know, like Alan, for example, knows a lot about real estate, but doesn't get involved in, let's say, Daryl Clark's district with there's a property issue, or, I know he was active with the abatement, but I was impressed that Derek is so involved with so much stuff because I didn't know all of that, and that he is really taking this time to like try and get people as much information and learn as much as he can. And I thought that was great, because you really want your elected officials to understand all these different industries, because they legislate on it and they make rules and regulations and they take money from these industries. So I just at least felt, I was very happy that he was on the call, and I thought that he did a really good job. And
Yeah, I thought so too.
to.
I was surprised actually that he was as informed and he was able to provide, but
He made himself available. I mean, they've got a lot going on, I'm sure, and to make yourself available like that to people, I thought, and I hope that they'll continue to do that. I mean, and maybe this is a way that, because sometimes you kind of feel like with these elected officials, unless you've worked in government, sometimes they feel really far away from you, or like you don't want to bother them, but they're really here to help represent the city and the city's interests. And especially you want them to step up when there's difficult times. So I was really pleased with that. And I hope that that will continue, and that, other council members also can get involved like that, because the access that they have to people and information is amazing, and we all can benefit from that.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. I think that also that we, as sometimes, like, maybe not you because you worked in that environment, but a lot of people don't, regular, citizens here of Philadelphia don't necessarily know that they have, options, they have rights, they can ask questions, they can reach out, that they're there to, support the community.
Well, they get paid by tax dollars that are generated from the people that work and live in the city of Philadelphia, and they get elected by people who work and live in the city of Philadelphia. So that's your go-to if you have issues. And then the mayor, obviously, and his administration, and all the commissioners are, involved with dealing with the city agencies. I know that, like, Dave Perry's been unbelievably helpful. Same with, Frank Breslin, who's the head of the revenue department. And where you might think some people would have shied away, like, everyone kind of is really stepping up, which has been a great thing to see, and kind of like makes you really proud of your city and the people that work in it. But I think, and I when I first started the firm, I would go around and say to people, like, come with me to city council. Like, they legislate every Thursday. I used to have to go for my job, obviously, and stand behind, the councilman, and, we would talk about what he should sign off on and wouldn't, and what he was introducing or what he should vote on, or people would come up to him and like, hey, councilman, can I meet with you about this? And but it's a really interesting group of people. I always say it's like the most powerful people in the room, in one room, although, as far as politics is concerned, at one time on Thursday mornings. And everyone should get involved, because a lot of times people complain about things afterwards, and sometimes it's a little too late at that point. But if you could get involved and get your name in front of people and even just introduce yourself, you never know how it could be beneficial going forward. Because a lot of times I'll just go and it's more of a social event, in the sense of just like catching up with people and staff.
Chatting.
Yeah, just saying hi. I don't really have an agenda. And then there's sometimes where, I'm there for a client. We need to get a street stricken, or I need an ordinance passed, or I have a really controversial zoning case that's coming up, and I want to get in front of the councilman or the councilwoman and their staff to say, here's what's been going on. But they really can be such advocates. And I could give probably a million examples of times when I've, utilized my relationships in council to help move something forward, or get a little bit more insight on certain groups so that we can approach things in a better way. Because, these people have been dealing with a lot of the stuff in real estate that we tackle, regularly, and they can help us understand how better to navigate. Plus, if you have good ideas for how things can be made more efficient or better, those are the people that get to make the rules. So I think, and a lot of them are very open to discussing. I talked to Isaiah Thomas a lot, who's a new at-large councilman, and he's always open to hearing things. That doesn't mean that he's gonna do what you want. He has to consider things himself, but he's always up for discussion. I talk to him about OPA regularly, like, we should change this and let's fix that, and why aren't we doing this? And he's, him and his staff, his chief of staff, Don Miller, is awesome. They're always open to talking about things, but you just have to go meet them, make yourself known, and go to council. It's open to the public. So if anyone wants to ever go, I'm happy to be your tour guide. I really enjoy it.
I'll go with you.
All right, I'm gonna take you up on that.
I've never been. So
We'll get coffee before. We'll go
I
sit.
would love to go.
It's an hour. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'd be cool.
All right. When they're back open.
What
When they're back open.
it can't be soon enough.
No.
Right?
Yeah. They are doing virtual sessions. I think they'll probably try and do more of that too. But everyone's working on ways to keep it moving. They just appropriated $85 million virtually. And they'll probably, I think they're going to continue to have hearings. I think the next one's like on the 16th or something. So, we have a budget to pass and we need that budget. So
we need that budget.
Yeah, but
we need to get people back to work soon.
Yeah, we do. But in the meantime,
we need to stay healthy and stay home.
In the meantime,
and wear your mask if you go out.
Yeah.
And your gloves.
And my sister got me a mask. She was all panicked.
I haven't been out.
Not even for a walk?
Mm-mm.
Really? Oh my God. I'm like, now it's funny though. Like everyone's now a runner. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you know why? Because I was in the car the other day. I was in the car, but I only went from the house to the car, stayed in the car and back in the house. And I saw tons of people out and they were not saying 3 feet or 6 feet or 10 feet.
Yeah.
And running by each other, no mask on. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do my part and stay in and stay away. And I do need to get, luckily we have a roof deck on our home. So, but I do need to get, maybe I'll just like walk around my block.
Yeah, it's good. You got to stretch your legs a little bit.
Yeah, I've been walking now up and down the stairs, and down the stairs. I've been getting some exercise like that and, doing air squats and stretching and jumping jacks and crazy little things that,
I'll tell you, I think a lot of people are going to be like, I need to like renovate my house. I need to get a bigger house. I need to downsize. Like for me, I've been talking to my siblings and my brother a lot and my brother's wife is also in real estate. And I've been talking to her, like, I need to get a house. Like in the next year, I'm buying a house because like, I can't live in 800 square feet any longer with no real outdoor space because they close, like, I live in the Beacon and they close like the terrace. They won't let
the gym they close all the amenities down.
And I get it. And I'm respectful of it. But at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, I need to be able to like have some outdoor, sit on a stoop or whatever. So I think you'll have a lot of people who are going to be like, no, I need to like switch my living situation up or I need to buy something or I had a client call me yesterday and was like, I need to downsize. Like, I don't need all this house. Like,
I need to upsize. I'd like to get a compound with a pool, a big backyard.
Yeah.
I can have a garden.
Yep. Yeah.
A fire pit and a brick oven outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I've been thinking about. In fact, we drove around Chestnut Hill last Saturday on our way back from doing like a quick little errand that we had to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what about that house? Well, and then I'm Googling it. Crazy real estate, right?
Yeah. We've been walking around a lot and being like, wonder what that's listed at. And I wonder if that's going to sell. And I wonder what that looks like inside. And my brother and his wife live in Graduate Hospital. So we were taking some walks with their dogs and just looking at all the inventory and seeing what's out there. But to your point about the virtual stuff, I think that like selling pre-construction or virtual like should continue. I think that obviously like inspections, you're not gonna be able to like do a virtual inspection, but I think all of that, it'll cut down on a lot of the time too that you need. I know Design Blends does a lot of like pre-construction stuff with like renderings and all the virtual stuff.
Yeah, they do a good job. I mean, that's gonna be all good, but people still, you can buy new construction. We saw a ton of new construction with no house. So we know how to do that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's more of for the resale, for people that are living in the home. Mm-hmm. And I don't think, I was hopeful that we would become an essential business. Mm-hmm. But I have a feeling that we're not going to be.
There's a bill out right now. I think it's in committee where they're trying to make residential construction, I believe, essential business. I know there's a lot of lobbying now around like allowing for some construction to start, but mean, I think what people were saying was like, it's so speculative with new buyers, I guess. But I mean, I think they're just trying to limit everything until we have a clue of what's going on. But
yeah, and it's understandable. I think though that if it's a vacant property and nobody lives there,
yeah. And people still need homes. I mean, leases are coming up and people still need places to go. And
people are moving here. They're being relocated from other areas.
especially
They're, matching for the different medical
Yep.
residents, etc. That's now, that happened already. So they do have to be here by June and July, August, depending on their program.
Yep.
So this does need to get figured out. I mean, shelter is a necessity.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think maybe as the next couple of weeks unravel, maybe they'll loosen up on some things. But yeah, I would agree with that. A friend of mine just bought a place and it's a duplex, and he basically shared with me this voicemail where it's a doctor who's relocating from somewhere, and they're looking for, because they're now going to be working at Penn and they're looking for housing. There's still going to be people that are in need. And have you seen on your end, like, do you think any specific areas will be a lot more targeted than before? You think just still overall it's going to be kind of all over the place? Like, I wonder if we'll see more action in certain places.
You mean from a neighborhood standpoint?
Yeah, from a neighborhood, exactly.
I mean, you always have core center city, right? Is river to river, Pine to Vine. I would say now that would be more like to Washington Avenue is always going to be your hot spots to, especially for first time. It's very competitive for first time buyers in those areas because there's not a lot of properties that come up. And even now, there's even less properties people are listing. I said, if you really want to sell, it's actually you have less competition right now. And there are things that we can do to pre-market over the next several weeks, with coming soon status and things like that. There's other things that we can do from a digital standpoint, in even just like prepping people's homes for sale, doing a virtual staging consult that I would do and walk through their house with them, except I'd be sitting here in my office, and because usually most people take 3 to 4 weeks to prep for selling.
Okay.
Most people.
Right. So you have meet up time now, at least.
Now this is the time that they can do all that, because otherwise, this is the spring market. I think it's just going to be delayed. I think what's going to happen is we're going to have to do 9 months of work in 6 months.
Right.
And, we basically decided we're not going to go on our vacation in August. We're going to go away for a few weeks.
Where were you going?
Well, we were deciding between Greece and either south of France. We go to Italy a lot. I would always love to go back to Italy. We were just there in January. But we were going to go for my birthday, and I said, how are we going to take off that time now? We just can't. We will not. There's no taking off.
Yeah.
And we talk, what about the weekends at the beach? I'm like, I don't think there's going to be that many weekends at the beach. I think we're going to be working. I think we're going to be working. I think that we're going to have to put in the extra time. And I think there's going to be a lot of pent up demand. And I think we are going to be busy 7 days a week for quite some time. And I'm knock on wood for that, because I mean, right now, this is terrible for, our businesses, to be tied like this. And,
I think it's going to be a mad rush, like you said. And like, it's going to be like, kind of like, rushing out of the gate to get everything done, which is a good thing. I mean, I will say, like, I feel grateful to at least be in this space, and because there's a lot of other industries I think will take a lot longer to recover. I think that, like, for example, some retail, any event space,
and restaurants. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, it's nothing we've ever seen, any of us, in our lifetime. And I'm God willing that we never see again.
Yeah. mean, I think we were all like, oh yeah, there's going to be a recession. There's going to be a little bit of a correction in the market, but nobody thought it was going to be like a virus. Like nobody really, but I'm appreciative to have experiences and be experiencing this, especially early in our career, in my career with my brother, in the life of our company, because if you can have this experience early on, and for those who are also, you know, entrepreneurs and, you know, really rely on just themselves, I think it's a good experience to have, because in the span of a 30, 40, 50-year career, you're going to go through something again. And if you're able to navigate it at some point earlier on, you might like walk differently going forward. I know for a fact, like we'll keep a way tighter eye on expenses. We'll make sure that we're doing things so that we do have cash reserves in the event that something happens, and that we are a little bit more careful about, you know, the things we're buying and spending and doing, you know, make sure that there is a return on our investment, or that it's really, you know, and to continue to always try and operate as lean as possible. But also, like, having gone through this, I feel grateful just because I think we'll be better off going forward in the event that we go through something again. Like, we've made it through that. Here's how we handled it. And here's how we need to kind of like prepare ourselves going forward. So I wasn't around for '08 in the sense of having a career at that point. I was still in, you know, I was in college, obviously, at that point. But, you know,
Yeah.
I try to look at it that way, and that I'm glad I'm not.
No, that's great, Rachel, because you haven't experienced it. I mean, I was in business in 9/11 and advertising industry. Almost every single person canceled their ad spend.
Wow.
And you know what? The bounce back was, I would say, within a couple months, things were kind of almost back to normal. And then in '08, I mean, everybody knows what happened then. We actually grew our business from '08 and onward.
Wow.
I mean, we were, you know, one of the very few. And at that time, I had a team. I didn't have my own brokerage, but we grew and we learned a lot, and we worked a lot harder. And every deal took 4 times as long to get it to the table, but you do what you have to do. I mean, you roll up your sleeves.
Yep.
And I've always had, you know, that strong work ethic. This is on a whole nother level, though.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be. It literally has to be. I feel the same way. I'm just like, every day I'm like, let's go. Like, let's go do as much as I can to get everything I can done and be creative. And, you know, I like that though. Like you know, anybody who starts their own business, like, you did it because you had that fire in you that was like, I want to do this for myself and see what I can make of it. And Adam has been so positive, like, where I'm just like, I'll have days where I'm like, oh, this is so awful. And he'll be like, no, this is great because we can do this, this, this. And he said to me, he's like, Rach, we started our business on a couch. If we have to go back to doing that, we will. You know what I mean? And probably same for you. Like, you can go back and think like where you were when you first got involved. Like, and that if you had to go back, you've done it once, you could do it again. You have that data point. But
no, and I think now more than ever, people really are going to lean towards the experts in the marketplace.
Yeah, it'll weed out a lot of people.
And, you know, we're preparing for a very, very busy time once this is over, and making sure we're adding a lot of things we've never done before. I mean, like, I would say from a standpoint of percentage, probably 50% more.
Wow.
And new systems, processes. And I was already very system process oriented, almost to a fault.
Yeah.
But this is just like a whole new level. But anyway, it was great talking to you today. Very informative information.
Yeah, we're here to help.
How you're being the solution. So I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking the time out. I know you got to run out to go get, you know,
I have that big party I got to go to. No, I appreciate you, not only just for this, for allowing me to be a part of this, but you've been super supportive of both me and Adam since we started. And I know we've gotten to work together in some things. And so I just appreciate that. And I really had a good time with this. And hopefully we'll be able to do lunch in the next you know, couple years at the latest.
This summer.
This summer, yeah. I would look forward to that.
At one of our spots on the square.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks again.
Thanks. I'll talk to you
soon.
Appreciate
you. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye. Bye.